We are discussing that if you have a two linear springs joined at point 1, 2, 3, so what is the finite element equation for such linear springs? So I say this is equivalent to element 1 and this is equivalent to element 2, right? And element 1 is connected at node 1, node 2, element 2 is connected between node 2 and node 3. So node 1 will have a local deformation of node 1 u1. Node 2 will have a local deformation of u2. Node 3 will have a local deformation of u3. Node 1 will have a nodal force F1, and if you have more number of elements, we need to identify deformation relates to which element. So I do this way: deformation of node 1 for element 1, deformation of node 2 for element 1, and of course there is only one node, so deformation of node 2 for element 2 both should be same. Otherwise at one point we'll have a two deformation, and that is not acceptable for physical deformation. So deformation or displacement of node 3 which is connected to node 2. So similarly, nodal force acting at node 1 which is connected to element 1. Nodal force here acting at node 2 which is connected to node 1, and also nodal force acting at node 2 which is connected to node 2 acting here itself. These two nodal forces will get summed up to get a final nodal force at node 2, and I will write nodal force at 3 which is connected to node connected to element 2. So again, what I'm going to do, how to assemble this finite element equation. So what is the finite element equation? Finite element equation. This is my question. I know the finite element equation of element 1. I already we did it. We know the finite element equation of one element 1. You know. So we know the finite element equation of element 2 as well. So let us do this way. The finite element equation of element 1 is, I am writing F1 for element 1, F2 for 1, this is F2 and 1. This is stiffness is K1, so I write it K1 minus K1 minus K1 K1 because we derived this way. And U1 U2. U1 means this U1 as it is written, and this U2 which is in both the cases it is equal, so I simply write U2. Forget about this. Or you write this way for convention. Similarly, the finite element equation for element 2, I can write it, this is element 2. So here nodal forces is F2 for element 2, F3, 2 is connected with F2 and F3. So F3 for element 2, and here it is stiffness is K2, so K2 minus K2 minus K2 and K2, and displacement of the corresponding nodes U2 and U3. So U2 which is connected to 2 and U3 which is connected to. So we got this displacement, two equations. My understanding says that I need to combine these two equations to get a complete picture of the finite element for to a spring element. So we call it assembly. So what do we call it assembly? So let us call what we call the assembly of assembly procedures. So assembly procedures. What is the assembly procedure? Assembly procedure of matrices. Matrices. For one element, I have a 2 by 2 matrix. What is the degree of freedom here again? The degree of freedom is 3. That is U1, node 1 deflects by U1, node 2 deflects by U2, node 3 deflects by U3. So degree of freedom is 3. When degree of freedom is 3, then stiffness matrix I feel should be of order of 3 by 3. So how we are going to do that? Let us F1 I am writing F2 and F3, F1, F2, F3, F1, F2, F3. It should come like that. There is a logic behind that, but I am letting you know how the procedure of assembly do take place. So this is U1, U2. So for understanding, I write simply U1 and U2. Node 1, node 2. Node 1, node 2. U2, U3. Node 2, node 2, node 3. U2 relates to node 2. U3 relates to node 3. So I write is simply U2 and U3 for my understanding. So stiffness matrix I will explain further, but here you understand that it will be 3 by 3. So this is U1, U2, my understanding. And third is U2, U3. So U2, U3 for understanding I put it like that. U1, U2, U1, U2, U1, U2, U1, U2, U1, U2, U1, U2, 2 by 2, K1, K. So I write it K1 minus K1 minus K1, K1. So it is the same equation F1, F2, F1, F2. Remove these two parts. So F1, F2 equal to K1 minus K1 minus K1, K1 minus K1 minus K1, K, U1, U2, U1, U2. Second part is coming F2 and F3. Connecting U2, U3, U2, U3. So U2, U3 connection starts from this part, this point, this point, this point. So what is this? K2. Simply write K2 and add it. K2. Another is minus K2. So write minus K2. Here is minus K2. So here write is minus K2. Here is K2. So here write is K2. The rest connection is 0. So it becomes U3. It becomes U3. I have dropped the notation F1 here of element 1. I am understanding myself that if this is F1, then it connects to element 1. And U2, U2 for 1, U2 for 2, it becomes U2. So simply I have written this way. So this procedure, this is actually we can say this is the finite element equation. Finite element equation for two linear springs. Two linear springs for this particular figure. If this is joined this way, then this is a finite element equation. So symbolically, I can write, okay, this is my nodal force, and this is my stiffness matrix, and this is my displacement matrix. Now whole attempt is to solve the matrix so that I will get U1, U2, U3. So deformation I will get U1, U2, U3, and that is the interest of the engineers to know what is the deformation. So from that point of view, Uh, we need to find it out U1 and U2 and U3. How to find U1 and U2 and U3? That I am going to let you know. It is something like taking a inverse. Inverse means if you say to find U, how to find? Take or take or multiply both side by, let us say, by inverse of k. So k inverse and k, and that is u. So you know this is equal to unity matrix. So u, and whatever the value it is coming, u1 and u2 and u3, we can equate it and we get the values of. This implies u1 is known, u2 is known, and u3 is known. So this is the procedure, because in matrix cases, in matrices, we need to find it out, the inverse of this. Now, very interesting part I'm trying to bring to your notice, that see uh, some of the characteristics of, see the characteristics of the stiffness matrix. Characteristics of the stiffness matrix. Okay, I'm trying to find what is the characteristics of the stiffness matrix K. So if you look at the 3 by 3 matrix, this matrix, or 2 by 2 matrix, this particular matrix, what we find it out? So K, let us say we have a 2 by 2 matrix. So I write it K1 minus K1 minus K1 or K. Or K may have a 3 by 3 matrix, that is K1, that is a K1 minus K1 0 minus K1 K1 plus K2 minus K2 minus K2 and K2. Observe what is the things. This is a square matrix. Characteristic first is stiffness matrix. Stiffness matrix K is a square matrix. Always coming a square matrix. This is one characteristic. Rather, if you look at, this is symmetric. Symmetric means first row equal to first column, second row equal to second column, first row equal to first column, second row, second column, third row, third column. So stiffness K is matrix is symmetric matrix. This is symmetric matrix. And can you find a determinant of this? Determinant means K1 square minus K1 square. What is this? Determinant of K matrix. Determinant of K matrix does not is zero, means K square minus K square is zero. This implies this is actually a singular matrix. K is called K is singular matrix. Means determinant is zero. Whence determinant is zero, means K1 square minus plus K1 square minus K1 square is zero. Again in this case matrix will be zero. Determinant will be zero. So K is a singular matrix. If K is a singular matrix, then in the previous one we multiplied with a K inverse. So what is the definition of K inverse? This implies K inverse does not exist. Why? By definition, by definition, K inverse is adjoint of a matrix K by mod of K. Mod of K is 0. So K inverse has an infinite value, no value, actual definite value. So we say inverse does not exist. And so what we have to do that? Meaning thereby this implies sufficient boundary condition, sufficient boundary conditions need to be applied, need to be applied to the spring system, to the spring system, so that K is non-singular, meaning thereby you have to apply a fixed boundary condition or some boundary conditions to restrict U1, U2, U3. Okay. Third, fourth characteristic, if you look at K1 has positive value, K1 has positive value, this positive plus positive plus positive. So it means that the are diagonal elements are always positive. Diagonal elements are always positive. It may be diagonal elements are always positive, and there is one more property which I will discuss. So we call it a K is a positive. The word is semi-definite. Semi-definite means, I will explain to you. Definite means always this eigenvalue is positive. K is a positive semi-definite. It relates to eigenvalue that I will define shortly. So you have understood right now how the finite element of linear springs are created. Okay, because I have to find a inverse of the matrix. Uh, I will discuss little bit of how to find the inverse of a matrix to recapitulate it. So, so it is like finding inverse of a matrix. So let's take any example of a matrix A. This is a square matrix. I say this is 2, 4, minus 5, 5, minus 1, 3, 1, minus 2, 4. So this is a matrix, and therefore find inverse is what? So inverse of the matrix is defined as adjoint of matrix A by determinant. What is the adjoint of matrix? So adjoint of matrix is transpose, I'm writing words, transpose of a matrix of cofactors of A. So first we will have to find the matrix of cofactors of A, then transpose. So matrix of cofactor. So let us say matrix of cofactors of A. I am writing A matrix of cofactors of A, meaning thereby I write it here will be some one element A11, A12, A13, A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33 will come. So what is A11? So where A11 means pick up A11, cross the first row, first column. Cross the first row, first column. -1, 3. So this is -1, 3, -2, 4. This is one matrix, right? And sign, what should be the sign? Start with plus. So it is plus. What is A12? A12 means pick up A12 and cross the row crossing A12 and column A12. So what is left left out? A11, A1. If I cross this, if I cross this, if I cross this, if I cross this, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1, 4, 1. Sign convention, I have given a positive sign here. I will give a negative sign here. I will give positive, then negative, then positive, then negative, then positive, then negative, then positive. This way, I wrote it this way. So it has some value, it has some value. So it has some value, it has some value. All these value will come and it will make a cofactors. So this matrix will, let us say it will coming like that: -6, 13, 8, 7, -31, and -22. So this is the matrix of cofactors. We got this matrix of cofactors, and transpose of cofactors of A means first row become first column, 2, 7, 2, -17, -9. Second row becomes second column, -6, 13, 8. Third row 7, -31, -22. So I got transpose of at cofactors of A divided by matrix determinant A will give A inverse. So this is the procedure of finding the inverse of the matrix, which I discussed in the brief to you. And we know that K matrix, K inverse does not exist. If K mod is 0, means determinant is 0, so inverse does not exist. If inverse does not exist, then how to find U1, U2? Meaning thereby sufficient boundary condition you need to apply. So I will let you know how to apply the sufficient boundary conditions. So what is the meaning of boundary conditions? Let us quickly discuss. So what is the meaning of boundary conditions? Boundary conditions in case of, let us say, this is a fixed spring is fixed at point 1, node 1, and node 2 is applied with a force P equal to 30 kilonewton. So U1 will become 0. This is a boundary condition code. So what is a boundary condition is meaning thereby? So we see the boundary conditions are associated with nodal displacements. Nodal displacements. So two types of boundary conditions. We call it. One is, we can say this is a homogeneous boundary condition. And another we call it a non-homogeneous boundary condition. Homogeneous boundary conditions means this implies the nodal displacement means u1, u2, u3, etc. Nodal displacements are completely prevented. Like this. Nodal displacement is completely privated. U1 is 0. This is example of homogeneous. Non-homogeneous means nodal displacements nodal displacements have some finite value, meaning there might U1 maybe 1 mm sort of thing. So in mathematics, when you derive these finite element equations, you play with differential equations. So in case of mathematical sense, in what we call it in mathematical sense, two types of boundary conditions we also know. This is the one classification of boundary conditions, homogeneous and non-homogeneous. Another classification of boundary conditions in mathematical sense, one is we call actually primary boundary condition. Primary, or it is also called essential, or on the name of a scientist, that is called uh, Dirichlet boundary condition. This means these boundary conditions actually these values these boundary condition values, examples are such as nodal displacement. Nodal displacement u1 u2 u1 either 1 mm or 0 mm, these are called the primary or essential Dirichlet boundary condition. Second type of boundary conditions we call is a natural or Newman. Natural or Newman is again is a scientist. Newman boundary condition, and this boundary condition values this boundary condition values uh, specifies specifies a value of derivative. It is like that we have a cantilever beam and deflection at this point is 0 theta. So theta we can say, okay, this is dy by dx is 0. So we can say this type of boundary conditions are natural or Newman boundary condition, and directly nodal displacement that relates to the primary essential or Dirichlet. This relates mostly in mathematical sense when we are going to directly solve the differential equation or partial differential equation in finite element. But you should know that, okay, there are one category is homogeneous and non-homogeneous, other category is primary or essential or Dirichlet called, another is called natural and Newman boundary conditions. So understanding you should have it. Okay. Uh, because we will come across something of eigenvalue as well. So little bit I discuss of the eigenvalue of a matrix. What we call the eigenvalue? Finding an eigenvalue of a matrix. Finding an eigenvalue of finding an eigenvalue of a square matrix. Okay. Finding an eigenvalue of a square matrix. I want to find the eigenvalue of a square matrix. So, how to find it? Eigenvalue means that is a property of a matrix. So, let us say we have a matrix like 1 minus 3, 3, 3 minus 5, 3, 6 minus 6, 4. So, find eigenvalue of So we can proceed this way. Let lambda be the eigenvalue. These you have already studied in the previous calculus or mathematics courses, but just have a quick revision. Will let you refresh your memory, your understanding, and knowledge. So if lambda is eigenvalue of A, then eigenvalue equation eigenvalue equation is written as matrix A lambda times matrix unit matrix, that is 0. So unit matrix, it is 3 by 3, so unit matrix is 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. So taking determinant taking determinant is A minus lambda I mod of 0. So if I write A means 1 minus 3 3, 3 minus 5 3, 6 minus 6 4, this is one determinant, minus lambda and 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. So this implies if we do a solution of this, the 1 minus this is lambda into 1, lambda into 0, lambda into 0, lambda into 0. So that way, if you do that, that is 1 minus lambda minus 3, 3, 3, 5 minus lambda, 3, 6, minus 6, 4 minus lambda. This should be 0. So solving this, 16 plus 12 lambda minus lambda cube equal to 0. So other way we can write it lambda cube minus 12 lambda minus 16 equal to 0, and this is the cubic equation, and once it is a cubic equation we have some solution, and solution maybe uh, just check it to there is a repeat solution and find it out. So lambda maybe this is minus 2 and 4. So this is called eigenvalue of a matrix. Now we defined a positive definite matrix and positive non-definite matrix. So is it a symmetric matrix? Row is equal to column? No, it's a non-symmetric matrix. If it is symmetric matrix, again you can find a lambda. So a quick revision again. What is positive definite matrix? If I say positive definite matrix, what is the meaning of positive definite matrix? Positive definite matrix are real symmetric matrix is set positive definite if and only if and only if real positive. This is not a symmetric, but this is real. All elements are real. Symmetric, if it is first row is equal to first column, second row equal to second column, third row equal to third column, then it is a symmetric. If a real symmetric matrix is said to be positive definite if and if, only if its eigenvalues are positive. Eigenvalue, how to find it? This way. If eigenvalue lambda comes to be positive, then we say it is a positive definite matrix. And what we call it a positive semi-definite? Positive semi-definite matrix. Positive semi-definite matrix is similar definition. It is a real symmetric matrix. A real symmetric matrix is called semi-definite. if and only if and only if its eigenvalue, this lambda, are, here the word C, non-negative. Non-negative means this is positive, sure positive, 1, 2, 5, 10. Non-negative means it may include a 0. So we call it a positive semi-definite matrix. So this way you have understood the finite element, the linear string as a finite element.